Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something that pretty much every modern company struggles with, but honestly, nobody really talks about. We're diving into the messy, deeply human reality of corporate system integration. You see, from the outside, a business looks like this perfectly well-oiled machine, but on the inside, it is an absolute scramble trying to get completely different pieces of technology and, more importantly, different groups of people to just talk to each other. We're going to look at a fascinating case study that completely shatters the illusion of how corporate IT actually works.
So let me just pose this question to you right off the bat. Can a single software system really run an entire business? You just buy the software, plug it in, and boom, watch the company run itself, right? Well, as we're about to see, the answer to that is a resounding, very complicated no. And hey, real quick, if you love seeing corporate tech jargon broken down and made incredibly simple like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. We do this all the time, and you definitely won't want to miss our future explainers.
All right, here's our roadmap for today. First, the core system myth. Second, the internal ripple effect. Third, the external border crossing. And finally, the true meaning of DX. We're zooming all the way out from a single core system to a massive global ecosystem.
Okay, let's just jump right in. Section 1, the core system myth. Specifically, what happens when you implement overseas technology?
Picture this. You've been tasked with bringing a robust, pre-built core financial system from London all the way to a branch in Japan. Right away, you're facing a massive clash. You've got the centralized London tech on one side and highly established, localized Japanese business processes on the other. The strategy, at least on paper, seemed totally straightforward. Just configure the London system to fit and only develop custom code if it's absolutely 100% necessary. Instead of doing all that heavy lifting in Japan, they figured they'd just ask the London team to handle the development at the source. Clean, efficient, problem solved, right?
Looking at that super solid plan, the author literally thought, I think we can make this work. It's that classic, slightly naive optimism that kicks in at the start of literally every major tech project. You've got the software, you've got a deployment strategy, and the finish line is, just right over the horizon. But as we're about to find out, this is exactly where the calm ends and the absolute chaos begins, because the system is never really finished just because you've installed the software.
Which perfectly sets up Section 2, the internal ripple effect. Basically, when the core changes, everything changes.
You see, dropping a massive new core system into a company is kind of like dropping a giant boulder into a really small, crowded pond. You aren't just installing a program, you are entirely disrupting an ecosystem. The second this new financial system went live, pretty much every connected internal system broke. Data fields changed, so all the information was labeled wrong. Interfaces changed, physically severing connections. Data formats changed entirely. Suddenly, every single receiving system throughout the entire company had to be manually tweaked just to understand this new London system. The team was basically forced into this grueling nightmare of checking and modifying the surrounding internal systems one by one.
So after painstakingly fixing all those broken internal interfaces, the whole picture finally started to come into focus. The author actually talks about feeling this fleeting sense of relief, thinking, okay, we're finally starting to see a path forward internally. But just when they thought they were out of the woods, just when the internal house was finally in order, an entirely new, much scarier beast appeared on the horizon.
And that brings us to Section 3, the external border crossing, reaching beyond company walls.
Here's the harsh reality of the financial world and honestly pretty much every industry today. No single system operates in total isolation. To really grasp this, let's ground it in reality. A basic financial transaction goes through 4 simple steps. An order comes in, it gets checked and approved, a payment is made, and the transaction is recorded. Easy enough, right? But here is the kicker. To execute those 4 simple steps, information has to be shared with entirely different systems sitting in entirely different companies. Multiple organizations have to work in perfect harmony just to complete one single transaction. And the second you realize that, it triggers an absolute avalanche of integration questions. Once you reach outside your own company, you're suddenly interrogating your external partners. Which proxy are we supposed to use? Wait, what data format can your system even handle? How often are we sending this data? Are we connecting to you or are you connecting to us? Are you guys going to charge us extra for this? What do your data fields even mean? How on earth are we handling the test environment? It is just a frantic, non-stop barrage of alignment required with people who don't work for you and don't even use your systems.
Going through all of this led to a massive epiphany for the author. Looking back on the whole project, the realization hit hard. It turns out, building the software system itself, actually writing the code and configuring the back end, that wasn't the hardest part, not even close. The true, grueling challenge is reaching agreements between people and companies. It is entirely about human negotiation. It's communication. It's somehow getting two completely different corporate cultures to sit down and agree on exactly how their computers are going to shake hands.
Which leads us to our final section, the true meaning of DX, moving the business forward.
Because, listen, this struggle to connect systems, it wasn't just some quirky localized issue with a London finance setup. This applies to literally every business out there today. Very few companies can operate entirely within their own closed-off bubble anymore. As digital transformation takes over the globe, your systems have to deeply, flawlessly connect with customers, partners, banks, logistics companies, cloud services, and endless external APIs. The web of connections is just getting more massive and intertwined by the day.
And this brilliantly illustrates a completely new way to think about tech roles. Based on this whole ordeal, we really need to redefine what a digital transformation professional actually is. It's not just a lone coder sitting in a dark basement room building a cool standalone app. A true DX professional is an architect of vital business connections. They are the person who actively designs how systems need to connect with the outside world so the business can actually move, breathe, and operate.
So, the ultimate takeaway here is this incredibly empowering message. System integration is absolutely not just an IT task. It is the very foundation of business creation. Think about it for a second. One successful system connection, one agreed-upon piece of data, one solid human agreement between two companies. The accumulation of all those small, hard-fought decisions is what actually connects organizations and creates entirely new business opportunities. Yes, it's a massive challenge, but as our author concludes, it's the kind of challenge that should make you step back and say, you know what? I can do this. Let's take the first step tomorrow. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought to reflect on regarding your own workplace. Ask yourself, are your systems actually talking to the outside world, or are they just taking up space on a server? If this explainer changed the way you view IT, system integration, and digital transformation, please give it a like right now. It really helps us keep creating these deep dives for you. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one.